To all my wonderful people in St. Kitts and Nevis, and all those throughout the entire liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and in some cases also say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Perhaps you are all still locked down in some form or fashion from this dreaded virus, all still restricted in some form or fashion. But if you're joining me for the first time, Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let us in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we tried to raise the level of national consciousness. We tried to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. If you're joining me for the first time, I welcome you and apprise you as well in the process. I inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls, we include your emails, and if you're so minded to call, the numbers are 465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. For those who like the cloak of anonymity, you don't want to be heard on radio, you don't want to be heard, your voice rather, you don't want your voice to be heard, I should say, then we give you access via our email platform, which is Straight Talk, or rather ZIZ, straight at gmail.com. Again, ZIZ-STRAIGHTT at gmail.com. We've lost some time in the beginning, so let's hasten to discuss the theme for tonight, which is life after the coronavirus. You know, I listened to a portion of this extremely important and highly rated program called Leadership Matters, hosted on Tuesday nights by the Honorable, or Dr. the Honorable, I should say, Timothy Harris, Prime Minister, our distinguished Prime Minister. And a question was posed by one caller, and the response that was provided still resonates in my head. And here was the question by Straight Talk family.
When we do reach the 70% threshold of vaccinations in St. Kitts, and with foreign people being vaccinated, do you think that we would be able to open up in a way where vaccinated persons can come in without quarantine to get the tourism economy going full speed again?
I want to hear that question again. That's our point of departure tonight.
When we do reach the 70% threshold of vaccination in St. Kitts, and with foreign people being vaccinated, do you think that we would be able to open up in a way where vaccinated persons can come in without quarantine to get the tourism economy going full speed again?
About getting the tourism economy going full speed again. And here's the response from Minister with responsibility for health, the Honorable Keela Byron Nisbet.
As it relates to the vaccination, we keep saying since the start of the vaccination rollout program, we must get to 70% of our population vaccinated in order for us to be able to achieve herd immunity. Once we achieve that level, the 70% and the herd immunity, then the quarantine will be looked at and adjustments will be made accordingly.
Very interesting response. But really, my Straight Talk family, the whole world was eagerly awaiting a COVID-19 vaccine for the safety of all of us and our loved ones, and for the return of life as we know it. That vaccine has now arrived, but realistically and sadly, though, I do not believe that life will go back to what it was for quite some time. And due to questions, many questions, even pertaining to that vaccine. Vaccinating 70% of our population to achieve herd immunity will not come overnight. But what major social changes do you see coming after the pandemic? Is one of the questions I'm asking tonight. What happens in the next 6 months will have a disproportionate impact on what happens in the more distant future. If vaccines are very effective, for example, if immunity lasts for a few years, if we can assure people that others around them are safe, then we could see, or we could foresee rather, relatively few changes other than the really, such as work from home, after, and rather, I should say, at a decimation, a killing or destruction of small business. That's the reality. There's a politics of discouragement as it relates to the use of the vaccine as well. And the changes that I think are most likely include increasing political division and increased economic inequality throughout the world. Disabilities. What about virtual offices? We now realize how easy it is to turn on a camera and pop on or click on a microphone so we can work and conduct meetings from the comfort of our homes. What about the vast number of families that have lost jobs or income due to the pandemic? Will this lead to an increase in deprived children, poverty, insecurity, and traumatic stress? Challenges like these coming early in the life of our children can have lasting consequences for physical and mental health and for academic achievement. Will companies, governments, and individuals take a look at their travel practices and decide to cut back, even though many of us yearn to engage in the physical contact that is part of social interaction? What new strategies people have learned to fight loneliness and avoid isolation? Which of them will last after the pandemic ends? And how these strategies will affect the sense of being part of the collective? Will we ever return to social behaviors we took for granted, such as shaking hands and hugging each other? When are we likely to be in a situation that we will be able to take fully vaccinated people coming in without the protocols? One hotelier in Barbados, for example, said, and I quote, "If we continue to say that people have to go into quarantine, you can't forget tourism. As long as you're talking about 5 days before people are allowed out, forget tourism. I would actually close both of my hotels." That's the owner, I think it's of the Sands Hotels in Barbados, said. What about the economy, tourism? Many calls for the softening of the protocols by the health authorities, who just cannot ignore these calls coming from the tourism sector. What changes to the existing protocols, my Straight Talk family? What changes can be made that will give our citizens and residents more comfort with respect to the movement of persons? The health authorities cannot turn a deaf ear, nevertheless, to this sector, and must fully understand the issues surrounding tourism, which is a major driver of all of our economies. So professional minds must meet and continue to work together. What about the vaccine passport? There's lots of talk about that. Will there be a requirement to have a vaccine passport? Should we expect that we as a country, or a matter of fact, the world in which we live, to change to a mask-wearing culture? As COVID-19 moratoriums necessary or unnecessary? Are they fair or unfair? And are COVID-19 moratoriums economically harmful? People without jobs cannot pay their rent. They cannot pay their electricity and water bills, never mind to buy food for their children to eat. Government can consider a moratorium on electricity and water bills, but can it mandate a moratorium on house rent and stop tenant eviction? I doubt that very much, as a public health emergency declaration does not grant any government unlimited authority to regulate private behavior. Recovering that foundational truth may prove more challenging than recovering from the pandemic. One thing is certain though, life in this global village is not going to be the same after COVID-19. Like the Great Depression of 1918 and like after World War II, the pandemic will impact all of us for years to come, perhaps even decades to come. Only time will tell on the Federation's economic and political fortunes. Some of the changes cannot be predicted. However, we can anticipate some long-term effects. The economy's structure will change, no doubt. My Straight Talk family. Government debt will affect growth. The increases in federal expenditures and reduction in government revenues may have to be financed almost exclusively by the public debt during 2021. The 60% of GDP for us in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union may have to be revisited by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, or perhaps not, since economic growth has been predicted in some countries. Government regulations will have to be reassessed. Removal rules, regulations, licenses, and certifications that act as entry barriers rather than protect public safety could increase flexibility of our economy and its resilience to future shocks from pandemics and others. Will international trade and travel be increasingly rectified or restricted, I should state? What about price control? A ratchet effect, escalation in prices is likely in government expense and intervention. Government intervention tends to increase prices. In our case, it has. And it may never fall back to the pre-crisis level. When we think of the skills training empowerment program, STEP, that has increased. The poverty alleviation program, PAP, expenditure, that too has increased during the crisis. And this may create interest groups, I'm sure, that will lobby for continued spending even after the crisis is over. The government becomes more and more involved in the economy. Replacement of markets with political allocation leads to a less efficient allocation of resources. Will the COVID crisis follow this pattern? We ask my Straight Dog family. With the passage of time, the impacts of the great suppression of 2020 will become more obvious. But these are areas to watch as we continue to live in. I hear the buzzword repeated so often: building resilience and economic recovery. I hear the buzzwords like food security to increase agriculture. But how many of us have stopped to reflect, however, that our main pillars from tourism and agriculture? Yes, that's what I said. How can we consider diversification? What about the concept of a free zone? In some parties known as a free trade zone, in a defined geographical area within each island of the Federation, in St. Kitts and Nevis. These are some of the questions, my Straight Dog family. These are some of the things we can focus on tonight as we think about life after the coronavirus. My time is not a lot, and I started late, so I'll say no more. These are my introductory remarks, my Straight Dog family. This is my little thesis as we reflect on life after the coronavirus. I'm going to open the lines and get your views in terms of the issues that I raise, in terms of government debt, regulations, and some of the changes that we can anticipate in life, wearing of masks and so on. It's 8:32 to be exact, 28 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour, and time for me to open the lines and listen to you, my Straight Dog family, and hear from you what do you envision as the new normalcy. What do you anticipate in life after the coronavirus? The numbers are 465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. I always like to implore you, when I open the lines, and I'll do so in a few seconds, I anticipate that you will respect others, and to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and not do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the of saying and or doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, at 26 before 9, I go to the lines, a Straight Dog family, and say, caller, you are live.
Mr. Patrick?
Hello, caller.
Yeah, Mr. Patrick.
How are you, my Bible man?
Yeah. Now, I am going to say something tonight, you know. Now, I am a man of God. I read the Bible up to this morning. And I want to say something here. The COVID-19 is in St. Kitts. And we have to really look after one another. But some people don't care. And when I think about it, I say to myself, my God, some people want 4 payments a month, and they are getting it. And some people ain't got no job, but some getting 4 payments a month time. And I tell myself that is bad. They're getting the $500 and they're getting 3 other payments. And I said to myself, I wonder what the authorities are doing. Because when people talk to me, I had to console them. I said, well, come better one of these days, man. But when I see people and they're bossing off, they're bossing off. So, Mr. Patrick, as a man of God, I said to myself, Lord, have mercy. Cain and ask brother, God and ask Cain, where is your brother? Here, Cain, am I my brother's keeper? Some people do not care. They want all for themselves in this kind of crisis here. And somebody has to look into it. And I am not going to call the 4 payment where the person does get. But they are happening. And somebody has to do something about it. Because some people getting over $3,000 and still getting the $500. It is bad. It's wrong. And somebody has to look into it. Mr. Patrick, you have a pleasant night to hear me. And this man here, me gonna talk just a little bit. And I'm gonna tell you, Psalm 37, verse 25. I was young, now I'm old. I neither see the righteous forsaken, my seed begging bread. Mr. Patrick, this is 6 years team unity in power. I'm in a shop stroke one day. I ain't no bother me. I put them in there, and I could have been robbing us like other people, but I said no. Let somebody get something. And God is looking after me, Mr. Patrick. Me not worry about nothing. When month time come, I get me pension. And so, and I get, me ain't ever get $2,000 a month. I himself get the $500, and up to now, me not get $2,000 a month. But me satisfied. But some people not satisfied, Mr. Patrick. They're getting 4 payments a month, and it's wrong. See you, Mr. Patrick.
Yes, we need to have some honest people, and this is what life, we hope not, will be after COVID-19. They must be our brother's keeper. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you are live.
Yes, a very pleasant good evening to you, Dr. Ian Patrick Liburd. How are you doing?
How are you, my dear brother?
Okay, well, I am good like you. Again,
I'm
if
peaceful.
I forgot, let me share my sympathy to you and your family on the passing of your dad.
Thank you.
That's something we all have to expect, and it will come someday. Now, John
Yes.
James, he has said a lot, and I can join on what's supposed to be joined on to what he has said. That is, let me tell you something. He's so correct. I have no, let me say, I know one individual particular. That individual has 3 jobs, and that individual still scraping and scrubbing want the government to find work. Where the government go find work? The government, the government is government. The country had a big industry that hundreds of people were employed. That industry that has been gone. Now the country is running good like that with the money because the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, they know how to spend money and to save money. Those two are accounts general. And so the government is doing the best. But some people want the government to find work for everybody. It can't happen so. But let me come back to this. I have been saying it, other people have been saying it. Too many square pegging round hole. And those square pegs are made up of what you call toilet paper or hand towel. How could anybody put paper in a cistern of water with a hole to stop the water? It can't happen because the paper going to come soft from melt and all the water going to run out. You have to put in the right plug in a hole to stop water or air from coming out. And we've been talking about these things. That $500. Too many people, the salary way above what is required for you to get the $500, and they're still getting it. And if they got 11 people in the house, all of them deploy, and out of the 11, 8 don't get it. And a lot of that going on, and that happened not because they did the work, due diligence in the work. A lot of friendship and co-favor in that. And just like a lot of the government departments, a lot of the heads of department, them in there playing games with the people them who work in. Some of them in there because they know who they be. You have a right to back which political party you want, but you must act like a professional on your job. When you're done, you go and you don't work, you take up your politics and you go with it. But don't discriminate on the job because of who you're backing. Too many of that going on, too many wrong things with employees and those heads of department watching it, and they're shutting the eye like they ain't see nothing. When they're done, they're making the ministers. Too many wrong things with employees. They're making the ministers them get the blame. The ministers ain't responsible for all the blame. You got to blame them who you give a task to do. And if they're doing the task wrong, then you should know what to do with them. You don't turn them away. But you just tell them either go left or go right. Let them turn with themselves. Those are the people who bring in on the government, who trying to bring on the government. Well, anyway, other people want to come in, so let me get out of the way because you start late. I'll come back with my second chat. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for input. Never out of words, and we've heard you. And yes, is a ratchet up effect likely expenditures because of some of these people like you just mentioned. There's some people who are family who are double dipping in the poverty alleviation program, and that program is who may not be hearing about the PAP for a long time. It's families that have an accumulated income of $3,000 and or less. That's how you qualify. If you're over that, you should not be drawing down on the PAP program, but there ought to be some more due diligence, no doubt. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. You seem to have missed the caller. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, man, I'm here, man. What's up? What's up, Patches?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Me, I'm here. I just called simply to my condolences to the passing of your dad. I mean, he really lived a long life, boy. Possibility that you just might live as long.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna bat not like I used to for tonight, but just course, as they say, with the program. I think I'm gonna take up you're coming last, right? So if enough room there, I'll come in last again. But for now, I just called to express my condolences to you and your family, and stay strong. He live a long life, you know what I mean. So I'll just continue to listen to the program. Not much more to say really for tonight. But you hang in there, bro.
Thank you very much, my brother. Yes. 5 short of his century. He's 95 years old, almost his 96th birthday. Since in May. But caller, you're live at 50 before 9.
Good night to the Ambassador Ian Patches Liburd. Good night.
Good night, Alex.
First, my condolences going out to you on behalf of your father, to your family. I know that you're a strong man because you lose your son at a tender age, and I know that your father was 95 years. And I know that you're a strong man, so that ain't going to put more pressure upon you. I know that you will live on, and you might reach the 100 to Patches. Continue to pray.
I believe
and
so.
I just want to thank God for life, Patches.
Thank you.
I want to thank God for a tiny little federation I live in too. And in spite of the negative them you hear every day on different social media and the radio, Patches, we just got to pray. Because my mother, you always will tell me that must always put something aside for a rainy day. Patches, it ain't rain come. It ain't a hurricane come. It ain't a storm come. It ain't a tsunami come. It's a worldwide pandemic killing out the whole world. Nobody is sick. People just drop down dead with it. Just dropping down dead with this COVID-19. And the government in the federation has tried their endeavor best to do what they can do to upfront this corona from coming to our shores by closing the country down. And you had a lot of negative things saying about when the government closed the country. The country opened up now again. You're finding negative talk again. Oh, where they open the country for? Where this for? Where that for? Where for? People checking in, corona coming here, but we ain't got no community spread. And we should thank God for that. Instead of that, government must pay this, government must do for that, government must this, government must look job, government must find solution, government must this. Patches, what the government doing that what other government is not doing to please the ordinary man and woman in the federation? This government is doing plenty, and other countries out there who are struggling and suffering. We couldn't give them a little assistance and all. That's the case too. And you hear some people who working for years. As a young man coming up to 10 years working. I know that them do all the tree work. Working here. Balling out to talk about government this and government must this and government like that. And working here for 40-something years for some kind of money. Patches, let me tell you something, right? When I was a young boy coming up, I went in the construction to work. And I work in different apartments in this federation. I work in the hotel. Patches, I never work for no business in Sinkit more than 10 years. And then I resign and get meeting. I'm sure I get mostly about 5-7 pay from different companies in Sinkit. Yeah, Patches? I can work for 40-something years. Come on, old man, I'm working for 40-something for the kind of money, Patches? Not me. I go move on because me not gonna complain. Me not complain to nobody. As long as me working with you, me can't get a raise. I move and I gone. And Patches, we must get a little thing, man. Look at thing the government got to do. Look at the hospital. Look at the school. Look at the road. Look at the whole road there. Through the COVID up to now, the whole road thing project can't done yet. And that's a thing the government got to do. And we come in and plan right about government must find this, government must find that. What government can find? What is our wonderful? Get back.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Uh, your interventions are all interesting. It's 7:50. Derivative, I say, of the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, and that hopefully not will be the life after COVID. Let's go back to the lines at 10 before 9. Caller, you're live.
Patches, good night.
Good night, my brother.
Good night. My
Good night,
sympathy.
jam down.
And the country want know if you all gonna bring home Mr. Glassford. He deserve it. Remember, he walks, he help a lot of people in this country. He was a good worker for years at the Lee Walvin, and a lot of old people is wondering in Ireland if Mr. Glassford is coming home. I hope the family hearing me loud and clear, because they should bring him home. Let him go up there in France, let his friend them go and visit him. I mean up the cemetery. But yes, I want to say something here tonight. Culture, good night, and Jacqueline. Don't stop talk. This country ain't got no money to talk about gain for citizens who making money. And I want to thank Carlton Japan. Rastaman without luck. You defend this country in a big way this afternoon. A lot of them making a lot of money, and they talk about government must give them stimulus. Who are a taxi man telling you Japan, but they want them to do with you? You ain't got to obligate to them. They're not nothing. And they play smart. A lot of them have got pension and feel like government just take up money give them. Government take up money give the hospital and the prison and the workers them in the country. The greedy set of people. That's how they want to move in this country. Patches, the government is struggling for money. The government doesn't have the money. The tourists were coming here and Timothy is doing a good job. And he can't take up the money, go give nobody. And all these people is working and government payroll and they're working. If they plan to work, they're going to go home. They will got to go home. Have a good night, Patches. I will be back. Culture. We ain't going to stop talk. Okay, Patches, see you.
Thanks a lot, my dear brother. I go straight back to the lines at 7B49. Caller, you're live.
Good night. How are you?
I am peaceful.
How was your weekend?
What about yourself?
All right. And
Restful.
All right?
Yes, restful. Yes, thanks.
Okay, I was going to listen to your opponent preach, but my foot hurt me. Anyway. But when you don't hear me, I stop calling because we only entertaining people. Because a lot of listeners just know what's going on and they wouldn't call to back us up. And that's not fair. Culture and John James had said a lot, but they're going to just put me 2 cents on it. I want to ask a question. If one person have 2 government jobs, they get 1 pay or they get separate? You know that? You know if you could answer that? If one person have 2 government jobs, if they get 1 pay or they get 2 pay for the 2 jobs. Anyway, do I have to
Well, it's 1, so I hope they get 1 pay.
They get 1 pay for the 2 jobs?
I will hope it's because there's only 1 government.
So if they left this one and they don't do this one and they go on next one, you will give them the same 1 pay for the 2 jobs? Anyway, some of the opposition, they have to work, yes, because by the sweat of your brow we eat bread. But people who put the government there had to eat bread too. And some of them had 3 jobs and no minister looking into it. And that's not fair. And people can soon stop talk. Because we just talking and nobody looking into nothing. Even you and I, when we raise a point, you could see what going here. I mean, check out what's going on and come back and tell us. I was asking you about the port the other day. I ain't get no answer about it. But that's not my business. But people just be talking. And when they're talking about it, they must come on the radio. The people know it happened to them. Anyway, good night. Have a good night, see? Because I'm just vexed right now. See you.
Have a good sounds like Alice in Wonderland. And for those who have just joined us, we are at live after the coronavirus. The whole world was eagerly awaiting a COVID-19 vaccine for the safety of us all and our loved ones, and for the return of life as we know it. That vaccine has now arrived, but realistically and sadly, though, I do not believe that life will go back to what it was for quite some time. What do you think? That's the question I'm asking as well. Vaccinating 70% of our population to achieve herd immunity will not come overnight either, but we encourage our people to go get vaccinated. Is there a call on the line? Caller, you're live. Okay, here's what. Let's take this email. This email reads, I'll get back to that caller, baby caller. Good evening, Patches. It's interesting that your topic this evening will life after COVID. Today I listened frank and candid, top centered around what lessons were garnered from COVID. Many of the comments made by callers were very disappointing. One caller, Carl Brown, was ranting about the fact that he gets $2,400 monthly, and he kept harping on the fact that the government needs to find jobs for people, saying that she has been asking for an area to be clean for the longest while, and if nothing is done, time she will vote for else. People have realized that Unity did not create the pandemic. Unity has done a superb job in very trying circumstances, and actually the need to look at the picture and acknowledge the work Unity has done for the country. We are the envy of many. Finally, two lessons: people must put aside something for a rainy day, and they should not expect to live life the same as was the case before the pandemic. And the question, as I introduced in the beginning, came from a caller to Lead Matters a few nights ago.
When we do reach the 70% threshold of vaccinations in St. Kitts, and with foreign people being added, do you think that we would be able to open up in a way where vaccinated persons can come in without quarantine to get the tourism economy going full speed again?
That was the question. And this was the response by Minister Akila Byron Nisbet.
As it relates to the vaccination, we keep saying since the start of the vaccination rollout program, we must get to 70% of our population vaccinated in order for us to be able to achieve herd immunity. Once we achieve that level, the 70% and the herd immunity, then the quarantine will be looked at and adjustments will be made.
The right thing.
Yes, we just have to do the right thing. We just have to keep holding on, we keep focused. But the fact is, my straight up fact, that life would not be the same again. Right? But if you have just joined me, as I said, my straight talk family, if you have just joined me, we are again looking at the expectations that we all have after the COVID-19 pandemic has passed. What happens in the next 6 months will no doubt have a disproportionate impact on what happens in the more distant future. If the vaccines are very effective, for example, if immunity lasts for a few years, if we can assure people that others around us are safe, then we could see or foresee relatively few changes other than the really obvious ones, such as virtual offices, working from home. And we are worried about my straight dog family, the decimation of a small business as well, my straight dog family. Now, there will be, as I said, the spread of conspiracy theories by some people who just don't want to see things going well. Once the vaccine is effective and it becomes more widely available, then the pandemic will lessen, it will contract. But the social environment is what we have to look at and always consider. Will companies, will governments, and individuals take a look at certain practices? What new strategies people will have learned to fight loneliness and avoid isolation? Some people have been lonely because of the lockdown, because of restrictions. How do we find ways to overcome such loneliness? At 903, beg your pardon, we go to the lines. Call you live.
Yeah, this much I can do. Thank you, Patrice. Well, Patrice, I am going for my chook tomorrow. Since I was going to school, I learned to chook with cashew. But I'm going to chook tomorrow with a little small pin, because the little small pin is chook hard. But I want mine. Thank God for that. It's free. And let me take plenty, because I believe later on, it's going to cost money. And every disappointment is for a good. Because of this corona pandemic, it teaches many how to learn to use what you have and implement and survive. So tut mun saman bagay, everybody can do something. No, we all have to learn from the Bible. The Bible never tell a lie, and the Bible is the best tour guide in the world. When we follow that day and obey the instructions and the advice from the Bible, we cannot go wrong. In the book of Proverbs, I don't remember which chapter or which verse, but the Bible says, the ants, them little things where they upon the ground, where they pinch and pull and tear, they are a people. And if we look at them, how they operate, how they work, and learn from them, the world will be a better world. You never see some ants going east with pieces of bread, and a gang of them going back west with bread and causing a big fight and trying to make separation. Every man, tooth, moon, and some in an army, marching, going to the hole with the food. And if you see the Bible, say that they describe the ants, them as small as they be. They are a people. There's many lessons to be learned from that deal. Many of that. And me asking our people, stop be foolish and say you ain't taking no vaccine because you got in this and got in that. We have been taking vaccination since Noah shut down the ark. And we never asked them what they got in. If this you got in alcohol, the one that got in Dettol and nothing, we take them seriously today. So why are all this if and doubt in the thing? Those people went to study the human body, what is good for us, and let us follow them and obey the protocols all over the world. No political party bring this corona here. None. It's the badness up there where it was originated in China, or up there make. And here no politician make it. It's bad people who want to conquer the world and kill out a certain race of people. And we know the race of people that they want to kill out. But thank God, God rule the world, man. And he tell the race of people like us, go in beaten and left them there. None. And Patrick, I want to say this again before I go. People, let us stop divide the country. It's only 68 square miles around the rocks. We have 32 miles of road, the main road. One little sneeze from the corona day and our little federation, we are gone. Let's put in a net. We have, God give us the seawater and the land to make money from. Walk them, show you how in the ground and walk it. He said, till the earth and the seawater out there, everybody could catch fish. My good friend of Buckley's Ross Rubble, he was able to live from a hand line on the shore. Every afternoon he go down the foot, throw the line, and when he come in, he sell fish and he got money. We could do that, the seawater along the guy money. Patches, thank you very much. Good night, Janet. Good night, Annette. Good night, Jacqueline. Good night, Jamdong and Rock and Alice and Maisie. And all who are positive and make an effort to help keep our country afloat. Have a good night, Patches. And Black Toast, good night.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. Saying good night as well to Nurse from Ponds Extension, Yvette Darwell. Say good night to Valerie, Liburd, Janet Barnett, Henry Mapp is also with us. Liv, Bernadette Murchis, Pass, I should say. My brother Eustace Hendricks, Simone Marks, and Miss Verna Lois, Linda Gums, and Patricia Fenton, Melda Edmead, Godfrey Blake, and all others. And I haven't seen my good friend Flash Cotton, my brother from Newtown, Rhodesia Carty, in the house, and many others, even Hicks as well, and Hilly, Liburd. All Liburds are one, so it gotta be my family. Anastasia Gubaskaya as well, and all others, all my Facebook massive Bunga Gray as well, my Straight Talk family. Let's go to the lines at 909. Caller, you're live.
Good night to you, my dear esteemed honorable. How are you doing tonight?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
And my condolences to you.
Thank you.
Long time no hear and see, but I'm still here. And my condolences. Culture, not because you didn't call my name, I'm still in tune. You call everybody's name except mine. Culture, how are you doing? I would like to know what the topic is about tonight. I tuned in late, so I was just wondering.
We're looking at life after the coronavirus.
Oh, I thought it was like anything.
You had something you want to raise, no?
Yes, but I don't want to go off track. If you have a particular topic you want to
go ahead. You go ahead.
About.
I haven't heard you for a long time, so go ahead.
Concerning the traffic lights. I had an incident the other day. What happened? I was down there by the old museum, or the old Treasury building, now the museum, and the white man came up on the light to say walk across the road. And then when you look now, this lady Joe was driving, coming up in her car. So what I'm saying, it got to be she won the light because from where they had Circus Grill. Because if she didn't run the light, then she would have to be coming up while I cross. Since I even shouted out to her, I said, Miss, you on the walk, what are you doing? You know, I think they need to either put some cameras on them like overseas. So when you run the red light, it takes a a shot of your vehicle or license plate number, and then you go court and you pay the fine.
Okay, happy you didn't get injured though.
Sorry?
I'm happy you didn't injured.
Hello?
I was saying I'm happy you were not injured.
Oh, I didn't hear the phone cut out. No, but I mean, if I wasn't paying attention, you know, it could have been worse, you know.
Yep. Okay, well, have yourself a wonderful night.
I'll continue to listen and you enjoy the rest of the night.
Okay, thanks a lot for your input. We go straight back to the lines. Caller, you live. Yeah. Yes, caller, go ahead. Hello, caller. You're live, caller.
Okay, Patrick, good night. Good night to everybody. Culture, good night, and manners. We need together, so we just got to do it better. Patrick, I listened to a talk show on Wednesday, and I listened to Andy Mark last night, and he had a particular caller. He used to work to the college teacher. I don't know what the Prime Minister have for this man. Every time he keeps talking about the Prime Minister about good governance, I want the caller to know if when he used to work by the college and got people trained up to the college, waiting on him till they fall asleep on the desk to assign that they work to them for they get what they got to do going, if that was good teaching. Patches, no. This man live on the Prime Minister back up when crab live on rock. He don't even give the Prime Minister no credit. We have a full-time Prime Minister, not a part-time. And in his spare time, he go to church and take a daily healthy walk. That's what we want. Not part-time Prime Minister. He work half the clock, round the clock, and meeting people and making it available every Tuesday night to talk to people and let people know going on. What the hell happened to this man? He needs to go and simmer down and go and make up for the children them what he done about the education from the college. He's sitting in, and the next one to follow him again too. Because when he used to teach that never good governance, and everybody going to have sick and tired of hearing him now. Get up the Prime Minister back. If I don't like the Prime Minister, I don't like our country, and I don't have to like me neither. And if I don't like me, I don't like I neither. And this coming from Unity, Jacqueline, Patches, you have a safe journey home, and good night, and I wish you all the luck, okay? Who don't like me may like I neither. Good night, Patches.
Thank you very much. Good night as well. I wonder if this
when you were a civil servant, tell the nation now, did you have one or two jobs simultaneously?
I had two simultaneously.
That was good governance at the time. Caller, you're live.
Hello, good evening, Patrick.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, bro.
Yes. Now, let me explain. First, let me give you my condolences, to your family, your father, and your rest of your family, and so on, your sisters, and etc., and so on. Now, as your son said, just be strong, okay? Patches, now, where life will go after the COVID, or what I call it, the COVID, or what it is. Life will be back to normal. But at the same time, people need strength. And when you got people going around and telling people not to go and take the vaccine, that's just making it hard for us and for the country and for the government and everybody. Because right now, everybody looking at St. to come when the border do open. And when you're going to have somebody that didn't take the vaccine and then going in a hotel to work, and they tell them, well, boy, you can't work in there, it's going to be another problem. So the government going to have to do something to strengthen the vaccine thing. You cannot allow a handful of people to treat 45,000 people, and That's all I could tell you and tell the Prime Minister. Just stay strong on the cabinet and the government, and everything gonna be all right. So God bless you, Patches. Stay strong.
God bless you as well. That sounds like the people's king. Some serious questions to be asked are how soon will we reach the 70%? How can we convince many to take the vaccine? We are just at 10%. I have heard many people saying that they are not going to the vaccine. The Premier of Nevis said that of the 1,400 plus that took the vaccine, Nevis, a high percentage are expatriates. When I took my vaccine, quite a number of folks taking it at that time appeared to be expatriates as well. That's the question. That's the issues as it relates to the political discouragement in terms of the vaccine. There's some people who are not putting above self. Truth be told, my straight dog family, we have to live after COVID-19. After the coronavirus, life must go on. And the Minister of Health, right, spoke to the necessity, and we've heard it all the time about herd immunity. And if we want to get back to life as normal, we don't know if it will be as normal. Don't know if we'll be able to hug and shake hands. These are some of the issues.
Headed by my Prime Minister, Dr. Timothy Harris. Patches, I just want to say to the entire world tonight that I took my vaccine going for a week now. And I see a post on Facebook to say that was in the hospital, my face was swollen up, me and my sister, and oh, my eyes was red, etc., etc. I really don't know. People like to fabricate story. I want the world to know that I'm alive and well and strong and moving on smoothly. Not a thing happened to me. So I don't know people telling a lie on me for about how me in hospital from vaccine. I took the vaccine, me and feel a thing. I'm up and about and running strong. Not a thing, me hand. I had a little pain in my shoulder. That's all I had. A little after pain in the shoulder. As usually when you get any vaccine. When I was small, my mother said I get a vaccine and I get a little fever and those kind of things. This is most things that's be happening when anybody get any vaccine. So I don't anybody got in my name and Facebook up and down the place for say I in the hospital and all those kind of things. How I could be in the hospital the same next day I went out to work. What people is saying, nobody called my name. Not a thing happened to me. The government is doing a tremendous job of bringing the vaccine here in St. Kitts. I am so glad that it is here. This month make one year since the COVID was here, but the COVID will come, and everybody was thing, and we got to thank God for the team unity government that the vaccine are here. Let us take the vaccine and let the country roll on. So I just want to clear the air with this kind of nonsense where people are saying on the radio how my face was swollen up and I was in the hospital and those kind of things. And I'm calling on the Minister of Health. I'm calling on the Minister of Health to do a survey at the hospital, because some of those nurses are not confidential at the hospital. Some of those nurses are not confidential up the hospital. Looking after those maids and those nurses. If somebody go up, they fall a symptom, they put it on the road and call a labor friend and they put it all over the place. So I'm just saying this, Patches, that it's not a right thing to do. But as I said, I took the vaccine going for a week now, and not a thing that happened to me now, my sister. And I want to give God thanks. I'm moving on. Patches, you have a pleasant night. And as my motto is, if you all don't like the Prime Minister, I don't like you all. And if I don't like me, I don't like the Prime Minister. Keep it so. And when I see me, I continue to pass me straight. Long live Dr. Timothy Harris. You have a good night, Patches, and get home safe.
Have a good night as well. It's good to hear. Back to the lines. Calling you live.
Patches, is a shame and a disgrace to see how we people in this country going on. Patches, politicizing this thing. Patches, when I look at the television, I see people lining up, rushing, going in the line to take the vaccine. But Patches, all who talking and criticizing the vaccine, that people should not go out to take the vaccine, they're in the minority. Patches, I think it was Wednesday, I was coming from town, and I was on a passenger bus going home. And the line down by the health center, long. So Patches, I want to show you people interested. People interested to take the vaccine. They got petition like work and petition like action, and they want to take the vaccine, that the country to come back to normal, and all the whole entire world to come back to normalcy. Everybody know the COVID we're going to be here for a while, but the vaccine will do whatever you got to do to help strengthen the immune system, that if even the COVID attack you, it cannot kill you. And that is so good. Because country border culture, these money export. The scientists them don't know what they're doing. It ain't somebody who don't know what they're doing, they know what they're doing. And they got to introduce the vaccine in a quick time that to save life. So I don't want people problem. So, was it to the self listen to Frank and Candy with Mr. Sharp? I mean, last night on the mark, Mr. Sharpman is telling why the vaccine got to share. Why you think it got to share with Dominica? Why Dominica got to share with this? Why this got to share with that? And I mean, Mark Brantley handling good. Because Patches me animal them right now. And you know, this is dry weather. People, animal coming from different place. Maybe from all Buckley's and all come down here, come look graze. Mine going different place go graze. And the animals them and all understand that a dry weather. So we can't understand what he not understand that when Mark Brantley was telling last night. Got a long session with Mark Brantley on the phone. I try not to twist and go around the bush. But I want to know the Patches. This man have a problem with the government, but the government ain't have no problem with the cockroach farm he got. You understand? This man got a problem. And he got a cockroach farm just trying to disturb people. And trying out kind of negative thing to turn people mind from the positive and coming out with the negative all the time, Patches. Patches, you have a wonderful night. May God bless and keep you. And coming back.
Have a wonderful night as well, my dear brother. After he made that ridiculous, warranted, and unfounded statement about people in the Federation have died from COVID, and that the government is keeping it a secret, and that the vaccinations are water injected, he doubled back after he was severely criticized from all quarters, even from members of his party. So he shamefully stood up in the National Assembly and said he does encourage people to take the vaccine. Matter of fact, I've learned that about 90% of all the doctors on the island have already taken that vaccine. So it defies all logic. Ha ha ha. Sharpman reads this email. You really grudge and jealous. The posts of ambassador have you going mad. Only now you know what the role of ambassador be when Limo, Christmas, Bath, and Condor were there. You were mindful, but because of his, who is renowned for his impartiality when it comes to representation, which was quite obvious when he was East Bastion's representative, common sense will dictate to you and all ethics that he was an excellent. Be fair for once, Mr. Grudge reads that email. It's now 26 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. We go straight back to the lines. Caller, you live.
Yes. Good evening, Alva Patches. I was calling you on Monday. Can't get your number, but you wouldn't answer your phone to tell you that somebody tell me your father passed and your sympathy. And I still waited on the things them, and the lot of people who wanted the house them on Wellington Road, everybody asking for. So please to set them up. And I understand that government stock bill the houses them. So
You are pay for your houses then that the government could build the one. Because I pay for mine. And I want all of you to get your house. Instead of going in an apartment to pay this amount of money and people rent a house. Pay for your own house. And you have a good night and take care. I'm still waiting.
How are you?
You.
How are you? Are you there? She's going to take another call. Call you live.
Good night, Brother Patches. How are you doing?
Good. I am peaceful.
Yes, I am here. As I listen, everyone who has called in vent their concerns. Listen, St. Kitts is the most beautiful island on the planet, the very most beautiful island. Nothing to compare. But why the people that within are so divided? You know, everyone should have their kind of division. St. Kitts is too divided. Divided. Your very own neighbor is against you. Okay? We got to be open for critique, and we must be able to criticize, because that's how you will learn. If something is wrong, just correct it. You know, I mean, it's about time for people to move on. Citizens need to travel out and see the outer world. I am so glad that I did. Okay? And like I said again, we got to respect each other's sovereignty. When you are so confined to a narrow place, think it is big, but yet it's still small. People got to improve themselves and travel. Travel and learn the outer world, and then you will see a big difference. You know, I'm glad for you to having me, and that's all I got to say, because I've seen the division, and the division doesn't seem like it's anywhere near to be resolved. Citizens, stop, divide, and unite. Doesn't seem like it's anywhere near. Anyway, thanks.
Your intervention, sound speech that cannot condemn. That's right. Titus 2. And yes, you hit the nail right on the head. I refer to it as the politics of discouragement. We are doing so well in terms of the management of the coronavirus pandemic. We've had no deaths, God. We've had an additional learned to buy. I think there's no 40s. We have been ranked in the top 10. I think we rank at number 8 in terms of our handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. But the changes that likely after or during this coronavirus is this increasing political division, and it would tend to fan the increased economic inequality, and that's throughout the world. See what happened elsewhere in terms of the New York issue with that governor there, and other issues around the world. Even this. But the fact is, the basic science of epidemiology and public health continues to be attacked and undermined by some who peddle what they call the conspiracy theories and spread them in particular on social media. But this should not stop us. We need to get the 70% herd immunity. And once we get there, we can see and expect good things to come after my Straight Talk family.
As it relates to the vaccination, since the start of the vaccination rollout program, we must get to 70% of our population vaccinated in order for us to be able to herd immunity. Once we're achieve that level, the 70% and the herd immunity, then the quarantine will be looked at and adjustments will be made accordingly.
Yes. So let's try and get there. Let's try and get back to normalcy and stop the undermining of the very country in which we have to live. My straight dog family. That's the suggestion I will want to make. In terms of our new strategies, people will have to learn to live together. And that was very early, my good friend and Bible man, I call him John James, said, we need to look after each other. Right? You know, and will we ever return to social behaviors we took for granted? You know, greeting each other, you know, shaking hands and exchanging a pleasant hug, hugging each other. When are we likely to be in a situation that we will be able to take fully vaccinated people coming in without protocols? We need to get away from that, get back to normalcy, and we can get there if we cooperate with the authorities that be. Because we still have to live in the world. I mean, people talk about food security, people talk about tourism, but many calls for soft protocols by the health authorities and they cannot be ignored. These calls cannot be ignored coming from the tourism sector. But we have to get to the immunity measure. Should we expect that we as a country, or as a matter of we as a world in which we live, should we expect that we have to live change to a mask wearing culture? What about the COVID-19 moratoriums? There are lots of people without a job. People without jobs cannot pay their rent. They cannot pay the electricity and water bills. Never mind to buy food for their children to eat. Should government consider a moratorium on electricity and water bills? Surely, government cannot admit a house rent and stop tenant eviction. I doubt that any public health emergency declaration would grant the government unlimited authority to regulate the private behavior. Caller, you are live at 25:10.
Patrice, we will rise again. God is who guiding us. And this country here, I understand the caller. This country here was divided in the 70s when they refused to let Mr. The Dr. Simmons go in the house. That's where the division started. So we who are calling on your program and Frank and Candid and Natal program, we are the positive ones. We are trying to mend the country together. When you have a negative group who get on a station every day and they are fueling the division like the bellows in a blacksmith shop that blow the wind on the fire to keep it hot and burning. We are trying to fight that and kill that division. Our country is too small for that. Now this man here, Trackman, you know the reason why he neglected the children them in the school? Because where he was up behind Builder's Paradise, he was recording people's voices. When he know that you're not backing the government, he recorded it and he carried somewhere and he used to get pay. So he had to go up there to get his double pay and ignore the children them. Thank you very much, Patrice. That's why he going on, so. Have a good night.
Have a good night, sir. It's now 24 before 10. We go back to the lines. Call you live.
Mr. Patrick, good night. I'll come back. Hello, Mr.
Yeah, good
Patrick.
night, my brother.
I'll come back. Now, I want to tell you something, you see. who God bless, no man curse. And I am 71 years by the grace of God. And nobody, and I am not afraid to say so, the Bible told me, no weapon that form against me shall prosper. And every tongue that rise up against thee shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servant of the Lord, and the righteousness of me. Mr. Patrick, if Jamie want to put Timothy Harris in power, me foot what I could not walk when the day of election. I call them, I tell them. One time. And I call them 3 or 4 times, one time. They come, they bring a car. I went up. I couldn't walk. I went on and met my ex. Because I want to put Mr. Harris to be the Prime Minister. And listen here. I am here by the grace of God, Mr. Patrick. And I continue to say, when I pray and talk to the God, no devil in hell could stop me. Now I call a friend of mine and I tell her about the vaccine. Now if I walk it, go up the road, I don't go up the road because I do not work. When you're going up is good, but when you're coming back down is a different thing. But listen, my God is going to look after me. Somebody will come for me, and I'm going to take the vaccine. I said, I to tell you, you have to, them who are set over you, you have to obey them. But I'm saying, it's top it all off. When you serve God in reality and do what is right in the sight of God, God is going to look after. The Bible says, whatever Galatians chapter 6 verse 7, whatsoever man soweth, he shall also reap. You can't plant potato and get nuts, nor yam. You got to get, you want to the same potato oil. So who want to come at me at them business? Because they are going to, God is going to fight new battle. I don't fight in battles. God has fight for me. So I am standing tall. And no devil in hell to move me. They do all thing, but they can't touch me. I am a God-sent man. I stand up for what is right. And I said, what I said tonight, I mean it from the depths of my heart. Too much people are too much wobbliness. Continue to be getting power. They grab everything they want. And other people who put the government there, they don't want them to get nothing. Mr. Patrick, I will not take up too much time because I know people want to come in. But I'm saying, the Bible says, blessed is the man that considereth the poor. In the time of trouble, the Lord shall deliver. And that's the reason why, because I know God, the Prime Minister is a God-sent man, and that's the reason why I went to vote for him. Good night, Mr. Patrick.
Good night, my brother. My man, as you say. It's now 18 before the 10 o'clock If you're joining us for the first time, Street Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 on to 10 p.m. If you just joined tonight, we were looking or are still looking at life after the coronavirus. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Patches,
So,
good night again. Patches, I want
Good night,
to
my bro-
quickly say to Doctor, the doctor there to look after the children with so have like what do call him? Dr. Lachlan. I want to thank him for what he's doing in the primary schools them. To going out and making sure that they look for these children with these chronic diseases. But we don't want it just in certain primary. We want all the primaries because some of these children really suffering with them kind of complication. And we got to look at them in the primary school early, catch them early. I also want to let think it's people now. Timothy and pack up this country money and give them. They can't be getting salary and fee the government must come and give them money and go work for the job done call. All of us can pay, we build them wherever we could pay. They establish them, understand the crisis out there is a COVID problem and we're going to work with it. Patches, have a good night. See you when I see you. Prime Minister Timothy, you just level your head to do this country work. Have a good night.
Have a good night as well. It's 16 before the 10 o'clock hour. We go straight back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Yes, good night, namesake.
Good night, namesake.
Sympathy greetings go to you and your family and the passing of your dad. And I just want to tell you, as your son, I always tell you, be strong, my dad. Be strong. God is on your side. And death is only a process. Remember those words, right? I just want to say
Yes, I do.
Don't worry about the Sambalak and the Tobaya. All they can do is bleach hole. Because so fast they hold them bleach, they're going to stop up. So don't worry. God is on our side, and by the grace of God, St. Kitts and Nevis will grow from strength to strength, and we're going to prosper. Because all those who want to see us go down in the ditch, I hope they remember that when you dig one ditch, they say you must dig two. Because one for me and one for you. Because I know that St. Kitts and Nevis having some praying people who know how to pray and talk to their God. And because of praying people, this country is going to stand firm because it was founded upon a rock. This is not sandy anymore. The sandy days are already gone. And the sand will continue to wash up on the shore and go back in the ocean. You know why? Because it is sand. But when you stand upon the rock, which is Christ Jesus, no devil, no hell, no devil, no hell can turn you back. Because no matter all those who are making all the noise, all they can do, as Mark Banty always say, you can't kick at every barking dog because empty drum make the most noise. But we have some powerful people in this country, and we got some people that are very evil. Evil continue. Some like to see blood run in the street, but because we're not seeing no blood run in the street now for the these couple of years now, they get mad. But God is in control. And because Jehovah Jireh is in control, the devil vexed. And because the devil vexed, we're going to continue to keep him vexed. When you keep him vexed, we're going to keep him out of the parliament. God bless you. Have a good night.
Yes, my namesake. Have yourself a good night. We go straight back to the lines at 14 before 10. Call you live.
Greetings, Mr. Ian Patches Liburd. And condolences.
Greetings, my brother.
And belated condolences in your passing of your dad.
Thank you very much, my brother.
And you continue to stay strong.
Thank you.
You, as I always tell you, Mr. Patches, your program only. They got nothing to do. Hey, we don't talk about it's politics. It's party. We read the Bible, and we put secular knowledge to what we read in the Bible. And we accept the fact that Christ already came on earth. We know we're living in judgment times. So is mankind have to shape themselves to principles, because the Bible says, so shall it be in the end. So shall be the beginning, so shall be the end. So, principles of life hasn't changed. Mankind needs to change. But the principles of life hasn't changed. You know, the division that goes on in our country, who caused the division? It's person who said they're educated, you know, and go university and live in St. Kitts, and they said they understand the struggle of the political system in St. Kitts. And look, some of them would say, you know, they're talking for them who can't talk for themselves. But look at the little thing what they say. Listen to them, see what they say. Because I always say, Mr. Patches, if this federation was going on a dark road, I mean, if we really say we was going on a dark road, and we agree we was going on a dark road, and now today, the accolades that the country is getting, not just because of the corona, but because of the management of the country. We can't continue to say we're going on a dark road. I mean, if you had the election before, and the government then get voted out, and then you had the next election, and the administration get more overwhelming mandate to govern, how you who criticizing can come with different reasoning to respect the people's wishes? I mean, that's the thing I don't be puzzled over. Because it's the people voted overwhelmingly for a unity administration. People say they want more party politics. But the person who criticizes, they, in the mind, is all about party politics. And the party politics in St. Kitts is just about image and business. It's nothing about liberation of the people. You know, so I do not know why they continue to portray. I really thought, after the last election, the persons who were criticizing this administration, they would change some of the tone after they see the results. But instead of that, they show the only bent on one thing: distortion and party politics. You know, what else could it be? You know, we got to, the Bible say, mankind have to be born again. In every form of life, mankind have to be born again. So even if you're reasoning concerning political commentary, you got to be born again with your words. You must. You can't continue making people believe your country worse off than anybody. Or if one set of people ain't ruling the country, nothing going on in the country. I mean, why? You don't only have a set to criticize the administration, but you ain't criticizing the party that hasn't reformed itself from the last two elections. You ain't criticizing them. I mean, come on. How could you tell me that you continue talking for people who can't talk for themselves? The Bible says, pick the beam out your own eye. And if ones want to tell me that only the government got problems and not the opposition, who got more problems than the government, and you ain't picking the beam out of the eye, I mean, where you want to carry the people? You just want to put the people in a revolving democracy and not an evolving democracy. The corona, a lot of us ain't taking heed of the corona. The corona showing mankind, change your ways, adapt the principles, spiritual principles of life. Mr. Patches, you continue to be strong and stay safe.
Thanks a lot, my dear brother. Always like your intervention, you know. Yes, you have been born, you know, it's about regeneration of the human spirit, you know, rebirth. Need new ideas as well. And those who have just joined us as we wind down, you may have joined late, we examine life, or what life like after this coronavirus. And the idea came because I listened to a program, the Leadership Matters, hosted by our distinguished Prime Minister on Tuesday. And a caller pose this question to panel.
When we do reach the 70% vaccination in St. Kitts, and with foreign people being vaccinated, do you think that we would be able to open up in a way where vaccinated persons can come in without quarantine to get the tourism economy going full speed again?
Response was this.
As it relates to the vaccination, keep saying since the start of the vaccination rollout program, we must get to 70% of our population vaccinated in order for us to be able to achieve herd immunity. Once we achieve that level, the 70% and the immunity, then the quarantine will be looked at and adjustments will be made accordingly.
Adjustments will be made once we get to the 70% or achieve the herd immunity, as it is called. The whole world was eagerly awaiting this COVID-19 vaccine for the safety of us all and our loved ones and for the return to life as we know it. But let's go back to the lines as we wind down tonight's programming. Caller, you are live.
For the return to life as we know it. Mr. Patches.
Caller.
Once again. I would like to say.
You have the radio equipment on?
I would like to say to the Prime Minister.
You have a radio on, my brother?
Supporters, he got to speak to them. I would like to say to the Prime Minister. Hold a second, let me just turn this down. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, please.
The Prime Minister has to speak to all his supporters. Okay? A lot of hatred in the Unity Party. Okay? They are against the opposition. He got to speak to his people and embrace discipline, because I have faced that. Okay? You are free to speak to anyone. People are people. It doesn't matter what political party one is back or embrace. But the Unity supporters, they have hatred for the opposition parties. It doesn't matter. Like I said, we are all humans. Politics is politics when it should be. But we got to remember, rule of thumb, we are all humans. We are all have the audacity to criticize, but cut the hatred out. Okay? He got to speak to all his supporters and tell them we cannot go along with the hatred and the division. Okay? In order to unite, unity means unite. But unity is not uniting. I'm not talking that the Prime Minister is embracing these, but I'm talking about the followers, die-hard followers. They are very divided. Okay? Both sides are divided. And how a truce can be called. Okay? Both party supporters, they got to cut this thing out. And I believe the country will unite when we live with. Okay? And for the good of the country, we build on the good and show all the better sides and move for improvement and live in peace and harmony and tranquility. Okay? But I am going to embrace the division have to stop. And I am very, very adamant about what I'm saying. Both leaders have to call their soldiers, their followers. We got to embrace discipline, respect, and dignity. And with that, you will have unity. Thank you for having me. That is a solution. I know others have other solutions. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your intervention. We go straight back to the lines. A caller, you're alive.
Yes, good evening, Pattis. Me again. Thanks the man. I second him with what he's saying just now. And people is saying that they want the $400 because the cost of living is high. So you all start to give us the little bit of our money. that we could pay for the house and we could feed ourselves and not watch nobody. See you. Have a good night.
Have a good night as well. Straight up family. As we wind down, perhaps just a few more calls. Since I started a bit late tonight, I'll give you an opportunity to absorb some more time. But my straight up family, I like the intervention before that last caller. And he spoke to divisions. But life after coronavirus seem to suggest that the changes that are most likely increasing political division and economic inequality, not just in St. Kitts and Nevis, but throughout the world. I posit that view. With the basic science of epidemiology and public health being attacked and undermined by conspiracy theorists and theories that are built on social media. And that's sad. It's sad. But we just hope and pray that the vaccine is effective. The efficacy of the vaccine. And we just hope and pray it will become widely available through all the countries. There's a lot of being hoarding by the bigger countries, some procuring twice the amount of their population, while others cannot access vaccine. But once the vaccine is effective, then I believe the pandemic will contract. But that does the social environment will still support another outbreak of a disease. There is no assume that a post-COVID world will be a post-pandemic world. The pandemic has shown us, for example, in terms of our schools, we in St. Kitts, we have gone back to the physical, in-school teaching, I think that's called. But there's some countries, some places still have online, for example, which school that makes the classroom accessible, particularly for students with disabilities, but some feel otherwise. Virtual offices, we now realize how easy it is to turn on a camera and click on a microphone so we can conduct meetings from the comfort of our homes. What about the vast number of families that have lost jobs, have lost income due to the pandemic? Will this lead to increased deprivation of our children? Will this lead to increased poverty, insecurity? Challenges like these coming early in the life of our children, for example, can have lasting consequences for physical and mental health, and would as well retard academic achievement. So what new strategies will we have learned to fight loneliness, to avoid isolation? Which of them will last after the pandemic ends? And how those strategies will affect our sense of being part of the collective? Will we ever return to social behaviors we took for granted? Will we ever start to shake hands and hugging each other? When are we likely to be in a situation that we will be able to take fully vaccinated people coming into our shores, traveling the world without these burdensome protocols. My Straight Dog family, our economy, tourism, we talk about food security, agriculture. These are sectors susceptible to shocks, the hurricanes, the storms. They damage our crops. They impact negatively on our tourism. And these are issues we have to address post-COVID or during life after the coronavirus. Because these are areas we need to diversify. I posit that view, my Straight Dog family. Government debt will affect. Government regulations will have to be reassessed. We have to remove rules, regulations, licenses, and certifications that act as entry barriers to trade. Rather than to protect public safety, they could increase the flexibility of our economy and its resilience to future shocks from pandemics and other sources and other hurricanes and so on. An escalation in prices, costs, is likely in government expenditures and intervention. Our government, for example, made its interventions, and intervention tends to increase during a crisis. In St. Kitts and Nevis, it was no different. And they never fall back from the pre-crisis level. We can think of the Skills Training Empowerment Program, STEP, in St. Kitts and Nevis. That has been increased in terms of its numbers and, of course, the costs. We can think of the Poverty Alleviation Program, PAP. These expenditures, too, they have increased during the crisis. And I am almost certain that there will be interest groups that will lobby for continued spending, even when the crisis is over.
Yeah, Patrice.
But with the passage of time, we will know what happens. But these are areas to watch as we continue to live in these unprecedented, repeated so often, building resilience and economic recovery. But my Straight Dog family, I hear buzzwords like food security through increased agriculture. Have we stopped to reflect, however, main pillars of tourism and agriculture are susceptible to shocks and climate variability? Tourism and agriculture in our region are more than likely to be harmed by hurricanes, rainfall deficits causing prolonged drought, and a rationing of water as we did in 2015, 5 years ago. But as we ignore climate change, it will get worse if we don't address it. I believe it was President Carter who said that 2/3 of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Yet man has been very slow to recognize importance in terms of its natural resources. So is it time to consider how can we diversify? What about the concept free zone is what I'm going to leave with you tonight. Also known as a free zone. Something like that can work in a defined geographical area within each land of the federation. And there are two. One federation, two beautiful islands, one paradise. That's the way I'm going to leave you tonight, my Straight Dog family, because my time is done and I've got to run. Don't you move your dial. Stay tuned for the mayor of St. Paul's, Theophilus Clark, who comes in next, oldie goldies. How he gets those records unscratched till today, that's anybody's guess. But until we connect on Monday, have yourself the best of what's left of tonight. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, my Straight Dog family, and be good to all whom you meet. Do your chores, have some rest, and be fresh for next week. So until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk, remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you. But first of all, my Straight Talk family, you just got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. Straight Talk family, keep moving on. But until we connect on Monday, be good to yourselves. Have a wonderful weekend.
Every Saturday,